Here we are at Hastings Creek. We're right by our benchmark, and we're going to use this as our site sample 1 for our stream invertebrate survey. What we're looking for here today is the stream invertebrates that live below the water. We'll be looking for in particular the mayfly, stonefly, and caddisfly. Those are signs of good water quality. What we're hoping to find is not only those family groups, but also a wide diversity of other family groups. We'll check all what we've got in here, we'll count them up, and we'll know what our water quality for this area is. Well, Kevin, here we are at our benchmark, and this will be our sample site for our stream invertebrate survey. We have a couple of different options here for our survey samplers. There's this one here that has the exact 30 centimeter, 1 square foot sample site area already measured off for you. And on the end of it, the inverts come down here, extra water comes out this side, and the inverts end up in our little bottle at the other end. It's really important to make sure there's actually a cap on the end.
Yes.
Sometimes they get lost.
Straight through, right?
Yeah. So this is one sample. It's a 363 micron mesh. This one here is the one that we're going to be using, in that this is what's available in the DFO Streamkeeper kits. It's called the D-net from the D-shape here.
D-shape, yeah.
The only difference really is that you don't get the little bottle at the end, which is fine. And you don't get the 1 square foot or 30 centimeter sample site.
Yes.
So what we're going to do when we get to the creek is we'll put a rock on either end of the bar. Then we'll walk it to the south.
Like so.
That's it. We'll put a rock on that end. We'll walk it again, put a rock here, and that should bring us back to the beginning again. That will then be our 1 square foot sample area. To do an entire sample, you would do that 3 times. You do one set sample, go to another spot, do another sample, and again, and that then is one sample. Once we get back, we're going to be putting the inverts that are in this mesh into this bucket, rinsing it off with water nice and carefully. The inverts will fall into the bucket. We'll put the sample into our basin where we can get a closer look at them, a little shallower and a little easier to see. We're then going to use our pipettes. We're going to put a bit of water into the ice cube tray. I like to fill it about halfway, keeping in mind that each time that you take an invert and put it in, more water goes in. Pretty soon you overflow and your bugs are crawling around one to the next, right? So we're going to go in with this squeezed down. When we let go, the water will be sucked up, and in comes our invert. When we look at it, we determine kind of the size of what we're going after, and then we look at the end here. If it's not going to fit, we don't use that. We'll either go to a bigger sample, or we can actually use a spoon. We'll do something that's not obtrusive. Something you have to keep in mind is that some of these guys have lived in the creek for about a year, and we'd like them to live for the next half hour. So we'll give it a go. Okay, once we take a look at it, these are nice and clear. You can see what your invert looks like, and you determine not really what it is exactly, just what it looks like. Put it into a container. Anybody that looks like that goes into the same square. Looks different, goes into here. Once we've got them all sorted, there's nobody else in here, then we can get a closer look. And we can take out our magnifying glass. We'll take our key and we'll decide which kind of invert it is, and from there we can do our sample. We're just going to use these rubber gloves when we go down. Sometimes there's glass and sharp objects in the creek. We just want to ensure that we don't cut ourselves while we're down there. So we'll take the stuff and we'll head down to the creek.
We both got boots on, right?
Okay, Kevin, this looks like a good site here. It's nice and narrow. We got a good flow happening, so it's going to wash all our inverts down. Nice rocky bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to approach walking upstream, just so we don't disturb our sample site before we get into it. So we're going to come in, and we're going to come in at the halfway. So if we just walk around behind these ones, and we'll come over on the other side. Okay. Well, you're actually going to end up around that side, and I'll start from here.
You're going to be there?
Yeah. So if you want to position yourself right over on that bigger rock.
So around here somewhere?
Okay. So we'll use this right here as our sample site. So if you want to put the net in, and we'll use a couple of these rocks over here to block off our square. This is how we want to end up, though, is with the current flowing right down in here. Okay. So it's the end of
each rock.
So if you want to walk it up to the north there. That's great.
There.
Rock the end of it. Okay. Another walk this way. And the end of it. And that should bring us back to the beginning again.
Looks good.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're nice and tight with the bottom. of the creek. Right now, if we were to take a sample and stir this up, all the inverts would end up going down beneath.
Yeah.
So from the outside of our sample, actually our sample was at the top of these rocks.
It's up here, isn't it?
Yeah. So what we're going to do is
take a few little rockies away.
Bottom side, we're going to scoot a bit away the outside of our sample area.
Okay.
And that should give us a nice
tight
bottom. Okay, and then we'll make sure that the water's going to flow downstream. If you're moving rocks, just kind of keep them in the wetted areas, because you'll see why when we start picking little guys out of here.
Okay.
So our first step is to take some of the larger rocks and just kind of give them a rinse.
Give them a rinse,
in front. Everybody will go down. Taking the rock out of your sample area so you don't wash it again. You could be here all day.
There's a lot of rocks here, eh?
Right. Keeping it in the wetted area.
Yeah.
Just in case there's somebody that you missed.
So when you have so many rocks, where do you draw the line?
When we get down to, we'll take all the top layer of rocks off. And once you get down to just the smaller ones that are in here, what we will do then is you can just use your hand and gently rough up the bottom. Now, if you have a really strong current, what will happen is all the rock that you've roughed up starts heading down, and you might as well just take this whole section and try and sift through it. Any rocks that go into here, you'll have to pick out later. So you want to be a little bit on the gentle side.
Just enough to disturb things and let the water carry them, but not the rocks.
That's it. Get everybody out from the bottom. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to turn this gently inside out.
Okay.
Making sure all our sample goes into the bucket.
In the bucket,
These aren't land-dwelling critters.
No, they don't.
Okay. Once we've got that in place, we're going to pour the water. Maybe just move it a little bit over farther, just so we don't wet where we're going to sit.
Yeah, okay.
Think about these things ahead of time.
That's right, that's
the other thing is we're going to pour the water down through here, and this is mesh, so it does come out the other side.
Keep it down low? Or
we'll just do the edges too.
Oh, I see, yes.
Don't want to use lots and lots of water, because any water that you have in here you have to deal with later. So we'll just do all the edges. You don't need these any longer. There shouldn't be anything sharp in there. Now is the time to get out your best eyes, because on this net are still going to be little guys. So we just very gently take him off.
Get him off,
and put him into the sample. And we're going to go through this whole bag and make sure that nobody's living on here, because as we put the bag to the side...
I'm going to put my glasses on, I think.
Yeah, some of them are quite small.
Yeah.
And we'll give the net a rinse as well, just in case we've missed anybody, make sure we return them. So we would check this whole... See the little midge-fly larva? Again, all these guys that need to be able to stick to the rocks...
can hang on to this.
Can hang on to this without any problem. There's no strong currents on here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I don't see anyone here. So they've got a bit of water here. We'll be adding more water to it. We're in a nice bright area to be able to see well, and yet not in the brilliant sunshine. You'll notice, especially with the stonefly, that after a while, if they're running out of oxygen due to the warmth in the water, they'll start to do little push-ups. That's a sure sign to change their water. So we'll watch for that as we go along.
They need oxygen.
So they just kind of do push-ups, and that runs the water across their gills. Okay, now we'll take our sample. The reason for this sieve is to be able to pick out any of the large things. Sometimes you get like a lot of branches or twigs or leaves and things, and that'll just take off the...
So slowly in here?
But we'll do it in a couple of sections. So what I like to do is just stir up the sample, otherwise the first person gets all clean water, and the second person gets all the good stuff.
Okay,
so you just pour it into there. Okay, and we'll do a second one here, and the rest can go into there. I've got a mayfly on my finger. I'll just wash him into the sample. So, now we're ready. I find the easiest to do is to get rid of any of the debris first. So we'll just pick in here, and then what I like to do with a wet hand is just take a really good look at it, because there'll be things just hiding right in amongst them. So we just very gently.
I'll put my glasses back on.
That's going to make a liar of me. So what we'll do with this debris, rather than just throwing it onto the ground, is we'll put it back in our bucket. We'll be able to return that just in case there's things in there that are smaller than our eyesight.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here we have a little midge fly larva, and so we're going to take him off. These are the ones that normally would get missed. It's a lot easier to see them when they're on the hand than they are in here. Okay, so we're just going to take out this sieve. If this was a sample that had lots of large rocks and things, those would all come out at the same time. So we'll just take this and we'll put it aside, and we'll start dealing with this part of our sample. What we're going to use is our pipette. And keeping in mind that it's a little tiny hole, what some people have done is they've cut this off a little bit higher up along the way, and you can get bigger things going in. These ones are still intact.
So we both sort of...
So we just hover over it, and as soon as you see somebody, now this guy here, he's not going to fit into our thing. So we'll suck him up, and we've got lots of water, so we'll put him into one here. That's a free-swimming caddis fly, and this one here is the guy that eats the vegetarians. He's a meat eater. He's vicious. And he's got, you'll see here, he's got his red head. Again, like I was saying, in nature, I always find that things that are brightly colored have no reason to hide. He's also got the two little hooks on the end of his tail there. And those are to hold on to the rocks and things to stay in place. Okay, these little guys here, these are going into small. I'll put them in here.
Oh, yeah. No, these are minute.
Again, very small. Yeah, these are little mayflies. And when we take the magnifying glass, you'll see that they have, these guys have 3 tails. But the way that I do it is, you know the maypole dancers from way back? To me, they dance in the water. They do the swims in circles and they're dancing. So I take it that's a mayfly. If it's got 3 tails, it's a mayfly. If it's got 2 tails, you take a closer look and see if it may be a stonefly. So what we're doing here is putting the mayflies into one section, and this size of mayfly. When we find a bigger one, we'll actually put them into their own little compartment, because even though it's a mayfly, it's a different taxa, a different family group. Okay, now that we've sorted these out into the bugs that look the same, now we're going to take a closer look at them and just determine what they are. Some of them are good size and it's pretty easy to see, but remember those little tiny ones that we saw? You know? Yeah, we'll just go through and we'll take a real close-up look, make sure that they are actually the same, and then we'll count how many of each kind that we have. We noticed in here that we had several different types of caddisfly, those that are in their casings. So the ones made of stone we've put into one container. The ones with their houses of wood we've put into another container. We haven't taken the stones apart or the housing apart. You know, just if they came to our house and did that, we'd be choked. So we've left it together. We know that they're caddisfly, and we just know that they're of a different taxa or a different family group. We also have the free-swimming predator caddisfly. So again, it's under the caddisfly.
The green one with the big red head.
The green one with the red head, but we also have the one next to it and this little cream-colored one. So again, it's caddisfly, but different taxa. So when we write them in, we'll say, you know, we found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 caddisfly, but we did find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different kinds. So of those 9 caddisfly, we found 6 different taxa. That's really good diversity over the caddis. The caddis, the mayfly that we found, and the one little lone stonefly that we found are good indicators of water quality. We also have the black fly larva and the aquatic worms. So each thing, you know, you go through and it's a pencil drawing, but as you read through the directions as to, you know, you look for gills, especially with the mayfly, if there's the 3 tails and they're doing that swimminess, is a mayfly. If they're walking along the bottom smooth on the abdomen area, that's a stonefly. Yeah, they'll have their gills up above in the thorax or in the top of their body, and the mayfly will have their gills on the lower end or on the abdomen. So that's a good way to tell between the 2 of them, and you want to separate them when you go to fill in your sheets. So we'll take that now, and we'll fill in our sheets, and we'll send that in.